There's so many gaps, brothers. Come on, fill the gaps, please. There's a gap in front of you, move forward. Jazakallah, Allah Ta'ala reward you. Whoever moves forward, Allah Ta'ala will move him forward. Fill all the gaps, please, brothers. Brothers on the side, on the backs also, come join the gathering. Come, brothers. I'm not like the other speakers, the nice people. I'm very intolerant like that. Somebody takes out their phone as well, I'll shoot you down, I'll give you an advance warning. You know what I used to do before is if somebody took out their phone here, out of courtesy, I'd look the other way and say, brothers who have got their phones out, please put the phone away. Out of courtesy, I used to do that. But some guys are so dumb, he looks up and he starts looking around. Who's doing it? And then he carries on. So now I just have to name and shame him. I say, brother, can you put your... And then he looks around still. So I have to say, brother, with a white hat, can you please put your phone away? So that's one of my bad habits. But I warn you now, if you take your phone out, I will shoot you down. And I will, don't be one of those, it's all right, I can get away with it. I'll sit palati and I'll have a little dip in my jubba and I'll put it down there. I know all the tricks. Taught in Playgate for almost 10 years. I know all the tricks. So please don't. Nobody takes out their phone in the doctor's surgery when the doctor's talking to them. Isn't it? Isn't it? When the lawyer's giving advice, nobody takes their phone out. Right? And so many other instances where nobody takes their phone out. And yet, it's always the house of Allah, the words of Allah and His Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that becomes a victim of our abuse. And then we wonder why the deen is not coming into our lives. So brothers are requesting, inshallah, please, still there's some gaps, fill the gaps. Don't talk between yourselves as well, brothers. Jazakumullah, Allah Ta'ala reward you. The speaker, whoever does a bayan, does not speak of his own accord. I'll give you an amazing story of one of our elders. He once went out, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadillah. I'll just start with the bayan with this story. He went out in the path of Allah, in Jamaat. He had some people with him. When he got to the first locality, he delivered a bayan. The bayan was so amazing, everyone in the congregation stood up and gave their names for 4 months. And the next day they left for 4 months as well. Amazing bayan. So his cronies, the people from the entourage, from the Jamaat, are telling Molana kasamti kajamnu bayan kar. That was an amazing bayan. Electrifying bayan. Molana, you need to repeat that again. Next locality they went to, he delivered another bayan. This bayan again was very good, but the tashkil wasn't 100%. And his people around him, they felt that it wasn't as good as the first one. So again, they hinted to him, Molana Sahib, mashallah, you know that bayan that you did in the first place? That was a top bayan, hint, hint. Third place he went to the third day, delivered a bayan, again a good bayan, again people give their names, but it wasn't 100%. Again his cronies, hint, hint, Molana Sahib, first day you were on form. When they did that 4 or 5 times, when he went to the next place, they said to him just before the bayan, Molana, do a bayan like you did in the first place. So now he'd got sick and tired of hearing them. You know what he said to them? He said, you bring me a congregation like we had on the first day, I'll do you a bayan like I did on the first day. Meaning, I don't speak of my own accord. If the congregation is plugged in, is hungry, is thirsty, is attentive, is listening with their hearts, is showing due reverence, Allah Ta'ala makes the speaker speak. Otherwise, the ulama kiram will tell you, a seasoned alim who's always delivering bayan, sometimes he just falls flat. One of our great elders, he came on the mimbar, he delivered thousands of bayans. Thousands of his bayans have been written, transcribed and printed. So Allah alone, how many bayans he delivered in his lifetime. One time he came on to do bayan, he sat down, he did the khutbah, he prayed, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, and he prayed an ayat, and then he stopped, then he started again, then he started again. He did the khutbah 3-4 times. And then he said, Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. And he said, sorry brothers, nothing's coming in my mind. I can't talk today. They were sincere people. And they got their help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah Ta'ala give me and all of us a tawfiq whenever we sit in any gathering, not just today, in any gathering, let's all of us make a promise to ourselves that we won't talk amongst ourselves, we won't be inattentive, we won't take out our phones, we'll listen with our hearts. Allah Ta'ala give me and all of us a tawfiq. Respected brothers and elders, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has sent each and every one of us, every single human being into this world to worship Him. The purpose of our life is to worship Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. A person who manages to accomplish this one mission in life, this one goal in life, and he manages to worship Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and by worshipping Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, he manages to please Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, then even if he has nothing of this world, even if he's a pauper, even if he is downtrodden, even if when he dies nobody even notices, even fewer people attend his funeral, कुछ न होते हुए अगर ईमान है तो हकीकत में सब कुछ है, but he pleased Allah, he accomplished this one goal in life, then he is successful. He has pleased Allah, Allah Ta'ala will please him in this world and the hereafter. We listen to Allah, Allah will listen to us. We wonder why our du'as don't get answered. Assess ourselves. How much do we listen to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala? If on the other hand a person he lives for 90 years, 100 years, even 1,000 years, and he's rich, he's got affluence, he's got wealth, he's got everything, and he went to the moon, he went into space, he learned so many things, he discovered so many things, but he did not manage to discover and understand the purpose of his life. And he didn't accomplish that one purpose in life. Brothers who are talking amongst themselves requested, please. But he didn't manage to accomplish that one mission in life. Then despite having everything, सब कुछ के होते हुए अगर ईमान नहीं है तो हकीकत में कुछ भी नहीं है. Then he is a failure. He's failed in this life. Why? Because he didn't manage to recognize his creator. And he didn't manage to accomplish the mission of life. And he died in this state. This is why Allah Ta'ala has sent us into this world. A person जो अल्लाह की मानता है, अल्लाह को मानता है. रसूल पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम को मानता है, रसूल पाक सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की मानता है. A person who obeys Allah, obeys his Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and lives his life. Even if he has nothing of this life, he is successful. But who will obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Who will worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? There's an adage in Arabic, إِذَا عُرِفَ الْآمِرْ هَانَتِ الْأَوَامِرْ. When the commander, when the person giving the command is recognized, then to fulfill the command becomes easy. One example our elders give. It's a hot afternoon, you're feeling a bit drowsy, you think you'll have a nap, you got your windows open. You just put your head on the pillow and there's a banging noise outside. You go outside and there's a little kid, 5-year-old. He's found a biscuit tin and a stick and he's made it into a drum. He's drumming, he's making a racket. So you first of all, you say to him, "Beta, please, I'm trying to sleep, can you go away?" You tell him nicely. Then you come back inside, continues. You go back outside, now you threaten him. "I'll do this, I'll do that." Like they used to say in the old days, "Can't copy nakhis, cut your ears off, I'll break your legs." So he carries on. Then you go outside and then you say to him, "I'll call the police." Still carries on. But if you go out to him and you say, "I'll tell your mom," immediately he runs away. Why? Because he doesn't recognize you and your power. He doesn't recognize the police and the authority of the police, even though the police is more powerful than his mom. But he understands his mom's power, what his mom has done to him and can do to him, take his toys away and anything else. So immediately he will desist. So who will worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Who will obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Who will abstain from the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? A person who recognizes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and has the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his or her heart. And this is the effort that we should be making today. The madrasa of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the pedagogy, the teaching methodology of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, he taught the Quran, he taught the hadith, he taught deen to the Sahaba Kiram. But what was the syllabus of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's madrasa? Hazrat Abdullah ibn Jundub radiyallahu says, "Kunna ma'an Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa nahnu fityanun hadawira. Fata'allamna al-iman qabla an nata'allam al-Quran. Thumma ta'allamna al-Quran fazdadna bihi iman." We were with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we were young boys. First of all, we learnt iman, then we learned the Quran. Then when we went on to learn the Quran, after learning our iman, then the Quran enhanced and increased our iman. Today this effort has not been made. And this is what this effort of Dawat and Tabligh is about. Why do we go out in the path of Allah? To learn Iman, to bring faith in our hearts that Allah Ta'ala is the greatest. Allah Ta'ala is all-seeing. Allah Ta'ala is all-doing. If I have that yaqeen in my heart that Allah Ta'ala is all-seeing, all-doing, all-knowing, all-wise, and Allah Ta'ala will resurrect us. Allah Ta'ala created me in the first place. He will resurrect me on the day of judgment. I will have to stand in front of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Maliki Yawmiddin. I will have to give an account of my whole life. Allah Ta'ala is most powerful. And nothing is hidden from the sight of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Al-awwal wal-akhir wal-zahir wal-batin. Al-awwal bila ibtida wal-akhir bila intiha. Al-awwal laysa qablahu shay wal-akhir laysa ba'dahu shay. Allah Ta'ala is the Alpha, Allah Ta'ala is the Omega, Allah Ta'ala is the first and Allah Ta'ala is the last. Allah is the first without a beginning and Allah Ta'ala is the last without an ending. Allah is the first before whom there is no one and Allah is the last after whom there is no one. And al-awwal wal-akhir wal-zahir wal-batin, ulama kiram, they say, one meaning of that is, kuch na tha to khuda tha, kuch na hoga to khuda hoga. When there was nothing, there was still Allah. There was no Jibrail, there was no Mikael, there was no Israfil, there was nothing, and there was Allah. And when Allah Ta'ala will give death to everything, even Malakul Maut will die, the angel of death will die. And Allah Ta'ala will say, Limanil mulkul yawm. He will ask that, to whom does the kingdom and the dominion belong? And there will be no one to answer. He will say, Lillahi al-wahid al-qahhar. So that is one meaning, that when there was nothing, there was still Allah. When there will be nothing, there will still be Allah. Another meaning, the ulama ikram, they say, when there was no one for you, there was still Allah for you. And when there will be no one for you, when everyone will abandon you, either out of treachery, if it happens in life, either out of treachery or out of inability. A person gets diagnosed with cancer. Allah Ta'ala give all the sick people shifa. Allah Ta'ala protect us all. And the doctors, they say we can do nothing for him. The doctors have moved back. His parents, they can't do anything for him except cry for him. His mother is saying that, Ya Allah, I've lived my life. Take my life, give it to him, but save him. He's still young. There's nothing else you can do for him. So when there is no one for you, there is still Allah for you. Allah Ta'ala can still cure you. Allah Ta'ala can still help you. And likewise, in every difficulty, Allah Ta'ala can find a way out for us. So when that yaqeen comes into our hearts, that Allah Ta'ala is all powerful, almighty, then for us to obey Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala will become easy. Today that yaqeen is not there. Today we have utilized, there are 4 faculties for building the yaqeen in our hearts. To bring the love of something into the heart, there are 4 faculties. 4 faculties that we use. Whatever we think of, whatever we see, whatever we talk about, whatever we hear, that is what becomes impregnated in our heart. And so a very simple example. There's a young boy, from a very young age, his dad started showing him Bugattis. So now he's a Bugatti fanatic. So he's always Bugatti. Like doing tasbih for Bugatti. So every time he gets an opportunity, when he comes home from school, he's on the computer, he's watching videos of Bugatti. So he's using his eyes, and when he's watching those videos, he's using his ears. The Bugatti is going into his heart from his eyes and from his ears. He's talking to his friend. One of his friends says, no, Ferrari is the best car. He said, no, Bugatti. He even gets a black eye because of the Bugatti. He's so passionate about the Bugatti. And all the years he keeps on talking like this. He's seeing it, he's hearing it. And when he's with his friends, he's talking about it. And when he lies down at night, he's thinking about it. And he falls asleep and he dreams about himself driving a Bugatti. Now his one goal in life is to get a Bugatti. So for that he works hard and he gets through his studies and he gets his promotions and everything, and he climbs up the ladder and eventually he saves up enough to buy his Bugatti. Now he thinks he's a made man. He goes and parks his Bugatti outside his house one day. Somebody was walking past and saw a Bugatti on Wally Range. They said, Allah, why has he got a Bugatti? I've got a Corolla. Why has he got a Bugatti? It's not fair. So he's jealous. So he gets a sharp object and he scratches this guy's Bugatti out of jealousy. When the owner of the Bugatti comes and he will see the scratch, the deep scratch from end to end, he will fall down on his knees and cry like a baby. Why? Because the person who has scratched the Bugatti, he has not actually scratched the car. He has scratched that guy's heart. Why? Because long before the car was parked outside his house, it was already parked inside his heart, long time ago. Do you understand? Now, I also have Bugattis in my heart, and you also have Bugattis in your heart. But your Bugatti is not necessarily a Bugatti. Everyone's Bugatti is different. Somebody might be sitting here thinking, I don't like cars anyway, I'm not into cars. No, everyone's Bugatti is different. But we have all used these four faculties. Every person assess themselves. What have I used these four faculties for? And that is what is inside my heart. And so the effort of tabligh is so that we make an effort and we talk about Allah, we listen about the greatness of Allah, and we think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again and again and again, so much so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes into our hearts. And we can sweep our hearts clean of the filth of the dunya. Hazrat Molana Sulaiman Janji Sahib Rahmatullah used to say, जिस तरह के नापाक आदमी मस्जिद में नहीं आ सकता, इसी तरह अल्लाह ताला नापाक दिल में नहीं आया करते. Just as unclean person cannot come into the house of Allah, in the same way, Allah Ta'ala does not come into an unclean heart, which is being polluted by the dunya. Today, all of us, our hearts are polluted by the dunya. We've got our yaqeen on the dunya. And so, we all need to make an effort. This is why when we go in the path of Allah, we tashkil everyone. We say to Mauli Sahib, we say to Mufti Sahib, we say to Hadi Sahib, we say to Muazzin Sahib, we say to everyone. Maulana, Vesha, you've got your knowledge. But Maulana, our elders have told us that you have to make an effort as well. And the ulama tell us themselves. One Shaykh al-Hadith Sahib said to me, he said that my heart wishes that I drop everything and I go for 4 months. He goes, because when I go in the path of Allah, I benefit so much in terms of iman. He said, but I have a responsibility, I cannot go. And I've sought permission so many times, but they say, Mufti Sahib, you can't go. So this effort of iman needs to be made by each and every single one of us. So the yaqeen, the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes into our hearts. That doesn't mean that we won't ever sin. We might still sin and err because we're human. But a person who has yaqeen in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even after sinning, he will be like a fish out of water. And a person who doesn't have Allah in his heart or has weak iman, weak yaqeen, he will sin away like it's nothing. Years on end. And he won't think anything of it. But a person who has that yaqeen, one boy, his dad said to him, he said, you know, we've got a family business. So he said, yeah, Dad, I know that, but I don't really know what it is. He said, anyway, it doesn't matter what it is. But my dad introduced me to the family business when I was 13. How old are you? He said, yeah, I've turned 13. He said, okay, I'm going to introduce you to the family business now. Your induction day is Tuesday night. So get your sleep on Tuesday, and then Tuesday we're going out. He said, Dad, what's the family business? He said, you'll understand. Just make sure you got a black balaclava, black pants, black top. Get ready for Tuesday night. He said, okay, Dad, no worries. So his dad, what was the family business? His dad was a burglar. Before him, his dad was a burglar as well. So family business, they were teaching each other. So now he wants to train his son how to pick the locks and to burgle houses. So he said, okay, no worries. But before Tuesday could come, during the week, the God squad, the Tablighis came a knocking. And they met that youngster. And they gave him targheeb, and they said, you know, brother, we need to go out in the path of Allah, we need to build our yaqeen, we need to bring Allah into our hearts. So come. So he got ready. So Friday night, this young lad, he went in Jamaat with the brothers. Now, when he's in Jamaat, he spent his time well. He didn't take his mobile phone with him. Just as I was talking to a Jamaat today, that if we want to benefit from the path of Allah, then we need to spend our time well. And in order to spend your time well, there's two things. One is, don't take your mobile phone. In our masjid, we have a policy, no mobile phones allowed. Even if it's 40 days, even if it's 4 months, you can't take your mobile phone. Because you're going in the path of Allah to connect to Allah, not to connect to the makhluk and the creation. And the second advice I gave to the youngsters today is, don't go with your friends, because then it'll just become a party. Go with people older than you, with other people that you don't know too well, so you'll spend your time well. Anyway, this brother, mashallah, he went out and he spent his time well. For 3 days in the path of Allah, he sat in all the programs, in the talim, in the muzakara, in the bayan, and he heard Allah is the greatest. Allah is all seeing. Allah is all hearing. Allah is all knowing. Allah is all wise. Allah does everything. We all have to stand in front of Allah. He heard these things and his yaqeen was built. He came home. His father didn't know he's been in Jamaat. So Tuesday morning, his dad says to me, remember tonight? He said, yeah, Dad, yeah, don't worry. He said, have you got your black clothes? He said, yeah, Dad, I've got it boxed off, don't worry. He said, I'll come for you at 1 o'clock in the morning. He said, okay, I'll be ready. 1 o'clock in the morning, he goes knocking on his bedroom door. The sun comes out, all black. He said, are you ready, son? He said, come on, Dad. So they go. Takes him to Pleasington, posh part of town. Right? And then sneaking around, then he sees a big house. He said, right, son, lesson number 1. See that big house there? The one with the gates? He said, yeah. Because I'm going to go in there. I said, okay, Dad. He said, what I want you to do is I want you to hide in these bushes. He said, and if you see anyone coming, if anyone's watching, then you've got to alert me. I said, okay, Dad, I can do that. He says, that's the first lesson my dad taught me, how to keep a lookout. He said, if you see someone coming, you've got to alert me. How are you going to alert me? I said, I don't know. So you've got to hoot like an owl. Look, and then the dad does it. He hoots like an owl. Look, my dad taught me. Can you do it? So he does it. He goes, oh, bro, you're a natural. It runs in the family. So he hoots like an owl. He said, Dad, I'm going to go in there. Anyone come in, anyone seeing, anyone watching, you got to let me know. He said, Dad, don't worry about it. So he goes. He just picked the lock and opened the door, and the hooting starts. He thinks, Allah. So he runs, jumps into the bushes. His son's there. He catches his breath. He says, son, was somebody here? He said, yeah. Somebody watching? He said, yeah. So, oh, son, well done. You're natural. Then after he catches his breath, he looks around, he doesn't see anyone. After he catches his breath, he said, right, I'm going again. Son, don't fall asleep. He said, Dad, don't worry, I'm on it. Brothers who've got the phones out, requested to put the phones away. Jazakallah, brother. So, he goes again. He's just managed to get into one cupboard, and the hooting starts again, runs out again, jumps into the bushes, catching his breath, looking around, doesn't see anyone. Asks his son, are you sure somebody was here? Yeah, somebody watching. He said, yeah. He said, son, you're a natural. He said, don't worry, Dad, I could do this all night long. So right, I'm going again. He goes again, and he just manages to get a necklace in his hands, and hooting starts again. He throws it down, and he runs and jumps in the bushes, catching his breath, panicking, sweating, looks around, doesn't see anyone. He says to his son, son, are you sure? 3 times, 4 times you've called me out, and every time I come, I don't see anyone. Are you sure somebody was here? He said, yeah. Are you sure somebody was watching? Yes. He said, I don't see anyone. Who? He said, Allah. The father said, Topi de to do. Give me a balaclava, go home. You can never be a burglar. Why? Allah is coming to your heart. Tu chor nahi ban sakta. Because Allah is coming to the hearts. Allah we need to bring into our hearts. And when Allah will come into our hearts, yaqeen of Allah will come into our hearts, then the yaqeen of everything that Allah says and everything that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has informed us about will become easy for us to believe. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us, إِذَا أُقْبِرَ الْمَيِّتُ أَتَاهُ مَلَكَانْ أَسْوَدَانْ أَزْرَقَانْ يُقَالُ لِأَحْدِهِمُ الْمُنْكَرُ وَالْآخِرُ النَّكِيرُ. He said, when a person, when every one of us will be placed in the grave, 2 angels will come to us. يَحْفِرَانِ الْأَرْضَ بِأَنْيَابِهِمَا وَيَطَعَانِ فِي أَشْعَارِهِمَا. They will have long hair coming down to the ground, all black, hideous features, blue, scary, terrifying eyes. مَعَهُمَا مِرْزَبًا مِنْ حَدِيدٍ لَوْ ضُرِبَ بِهَا جَبَلٌ لَصَارَ تُرَابًا. Each one of them carrying a hammer so heavy that if a mountain was struck with one of those hammers, the mountain would turn to dust. And they have teeth like the horns of rams coming down to the ground. And they will split the earth between themselves and me as they walk. And they will make each and every one of us sit up. And they will ask us 3 questions. That's a reality. But we to go to the graveyard, we can't see anything. When a person answers satisfactorily, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, they will not use those hammers on that person, they will use them on the graves, the wall of the graves. فَيُفْسَهُ فِي قَبْرِهِ مَدَّ بَصَرِهِ. So as far as he can see, the grave will open up. And the windows of Jannat will be opened up. and the fresh and the cool and the fragrant and redolent wind of Jannat and air of Jannat will reach him. فَافْرِشُوهُ مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ وَالْبِسُوهُ مِنَ الْجَنَّةِ وَافْتَحُوا لَهُ بَابًا إِلَى الْجَنَّةِ. It will be announced, bring down for him the bedding of Jannat. Get rid of his kafan, bring down the clothing of Jannat for him. And it will be said to him or her, Nam kanamatil arus, go to sleep now like a bride. No one can wake you up except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the day of judgment. But on the other hand, if a person cannot answer satisfactorily, if he has not lived the good life, if he has not built the yaqeen, one of our elders, he said that agar dukaan hi ko khuda banaya hoga, dukaan hi pe mehnat, subah sham dukaan hi ke liye. Mauli sahab is waking up, coming for Fajr namaz. Businessman is waking up, going for the dukaan. Mauli sahib is coming for Zohar namaz. Mauli sahib is going out in the path of Allah. This guy, he's just going dukaan, dukaan, dukaan. Whether it's Eid, whether it's summer, winter, 4 o'clock in the morning, he's just worshipping his shop all the time. No namaz, no durood, no deen, no path of Allah, nothing in his life. He just, his shop, he's worshipping his shop. And there are many people like that. So, he said, if a person's done that, then this Mauli Sahib who's devoted his life to Allah, he will be able to say when he's asked, who is your Lord? He'll say, Rabbi Allah. I sacrificed my youth. I didn't get married till I was 25 because I was in madrasa. I didn't see my mom for so many years because I was in madrasa. I ate dal roti. My ustad used to say, the madrasa that he studied in, he said the dal इतनी पतली होती थी कि जब हम खाने बैठते थे शरारती बच्चे कश्तियाँ बनाते थे कागज की और उसके अंदर डालते थे पढ़ते थे बिस्मिल्लाह मजरेहा व मुरसाहा. ऐसा ज़माना तो हमने भी देखा ना मौसम. But he made those sacrifices, so he will be able to say Rabbi Allah. But a person who didn't do that, so in Urdu and Gujarati, you know the cash register is called the galla, where you put the money in. So he said, अगर दुकान ही को खुदा बनाया होगा, दुकान ही के लिए अपनी जान माल कुर्बान की होगी, भूख प्यास कुर्बान की होगी, अपना सब कुछ लगाया होगा, जिंदगी कुर्बान कर दी होगी, तो वहां पे रब्बी अल्लाह नहीं कहेगा, बल्कि रब्बी गल्ला कहेगा. He said he will not be able to say Rabbi Allah, he will say Rabbi Galla. And that's a funny statement, but it's also a tragic statement. Look around us. Assess ourselves. What's going to come out of me when I am questioned in the grave? What have I made my Lord? What have I sacrificed my desires for? What will I sacrifice my holidays for? So many brothers, we tashkil them, brothers' holidays. Let's go out in the path of, no, must have holidays of for resting. But that's what Qurbani is. We all have holidays, we're all working people, we've got wife and kids. But to go out in your holidays, to sacrifice, that is sacrifice. Qurbani, and what is Qurbani? Qurbani darasal Qurbe Rabbani hai. Jitni Qurbani hogi, itni Rabb ki taraf se mehrabani hogi. Qurbani brings us close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what it is. But when we will make those sacrifices, then that yaqeen will come into our hearts. Whatever Allah, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said is truth. And there's no shadow of doubt in it. Otherwise people say, Maulana Sahib, what are you talking about? Grave's going to get expanded as far as you can see. What are you talking about? There's one grave here, there's one grave right next door. The people of the world have conducted their tests, they've put cameras. You know, they might deny it, but you think they've not done these things? When they've got CCTV cameras everywhere, microphones and infrared cameras, they put all of this in the grave. There's experiments, famous experiments, you can read about them. They've put in with the dead body to see where the angels are. Where are these scorpions that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam talked about? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if a person is unable to answer satisfactorily to the questions in the grave, the angels will strike him or her with the hammer, and they will fly 70 feet into the ground. فَيَصِيحُ صَيْحَةً يَسْمَعُهَا مَنْ يَلِيهِ غَيْرَ الثَّقَلَيْنِ. And he will scream so loudly that all the creation will hear, except the ins and the jinn. All the creation can hear. That's why logic says that a graveyard should be a dog's paradise. Dogs love digging up bones. Aqal ye kehti hai ki they should love loads of bones there. But on every single cemetery, in every place, go check your cemetery. What does it say? No pets, no dogs, no cats allowed. Why? Because when the animals get taken into the Qabristan, they go crazy. One English friend was saying that I usually take a different route to take my dog. Brother who's got the phone up, please put your phone away. Jazakallah. I take a different route, but there was some roadworks going on, so I had to take a different route. So I had to walk next to the graveyard. Something happened to my dog, he went crazy. How did he go crazy? They can hear the azab of the qabr. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us. We can't hear because we're in an examination. We're not supposed to hear it. And we can't hear it. But this is a reality. People say, well, so what are you talking about? We've done all the experiments. There's nothing. But there is. But you have to bring yaqeen on the words of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then you will believe. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on one occasion, he says, I was taken into the barzakh for a tour of barzakh. He said, I saw a person, he was lying there, and there was an angel standing over him with a boulder. And the boulder was so big that he struck him on the head with this boulder, and the guy's head was completely smashed. Fragments of his skull and his brains flew everywhere. And then he struck him with such force that the boulder went bouncing away. And then the angel went to fetch the boulder. And by the time he returned, Allah Ta'ala had restored that person's head back to normal. Then he struck him again. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was shocked, traumatized by the scene. He asked the angels. Eventually they told him that this is a person from your ummah who does not perform Isha Salat and goes to sleep. If a person has yaqeen on the words of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he won't look at the sweet sleep. He'll sacrifice a bit of that. He'll say, I'm going to sleep anyway, but let me pray my Isha namaz. He won't think, oh, we had a great meal in the restaurant, chala Isha gir gayi, it's alright. La hawla wa la quwwata. Command of Allah, you should have prayed Isha first. It's alright, I'll do qaza. So many people, mashallah, namazi, pakke namazi. I say, bhai, pakke namazi is tested, is coming up now as well. Sale ke, tail ka sale jab hona hai, jab pata chal jata hai. When there's a sale on, or when there's a family wedding or something, sister, what about your namaz? Oh, I'll do qaza afterwards. 3 days of no namaz. Tu ke bhi namazi hai. One father who's doing talim in the home every day. So he asked his kids one day, he said, when are you people going to become Muslims? This was a good household. Father, mother going out in the path of Allah, and the children, they're getting them to pray namaz every day. So father just one day turns around and says, when are you going to become Muslim? They said, Abba, what are you talking about? We're Muslims. He said, no, when are you going to become Muslim? So they said, Papa, what do you mean? He said, let me tell you, the day you will become a proper Muslim is the day that you will pray namaz, whether it's Fajr or whether it's Asr, without mummy, papa telling you. The day that happens, you know that Allah is in your heart now. The day you go to madrasa without your Mauli Sahib threatening you, your mum threatening you, and you go of your own accord, you know that Allah is coming to your heart. And then you just got to work hard to keep Allah in your heart. And don't let the dunya dazzle you. So respected brothers and elders, all this is a reality. But today we don't have the yaqeen of the words of Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Therefore, when we hear a virtue, a person who does wudu, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and prays the dua, third kalima. Everyone knows it. The 8 doors of Jannat open up for that person. We all know the dua. But have we ever thought, after we've done wudu, have we ever felt elated and happy that the doors of Jannat have opened up for me? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Subhanallahi a'zamu min Uhud. Subhanallah, the reward of Subhanallah is greater than the mountain of Uhud. The mountain of Uhud, Allah Ta'ala take us again and again. We know when we enter Medina, we start seeing it, and it goes on and on and on. It's miles long and very high. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the reward that you get for reciting one Subhanallah or one Alhamdulillah or one Allahu Akbar is greater than the mountain of Uhud. And that's never ending, perpetual, everlasting. We say Subhanallah, all of you brothers say Subhanallah. Subhanallah. We've got a tree. We won't get a tree, we've already got a tree in Jannah, which is in bloom forever and ever. يَصِيرُ رَاكِبُ الْمَجْدِ الصَّرِيُّ فِي ظِلِّهَا مِئَةَ عَامٍ لَا يَقْطَعُهَا أو كما قال. If a fast horse runs under it for 100 years, it won't be able to exit the circumference of the shadow of that tree. One of our brothers, he calculated, and he said the circumference of one of those trees will be bigger than the planet Earth. So all this is reality, but we don't get encouraged. Sometimes, we're talking about Jannat and like, latkela chehra. That person like miserable. Brother, I'm talking about Jannat, man. Cheer up. Why are you crying? Rota nahi, mein chehra hi aisa hai. Wait, cheer up, man. We're talking about Jannat. And when we talk about Jahannam, we're like dismissive. Why? Because of yaqeen. And this is why we need to make an effort on our yaqeen. Talk about akhirat, talk about the greatness of Allah, talk about qabr, and realize that all this is a reality. Jannat is a fact, Jahannam is a reality, the azab of the qabr is a reality. We all have to face munkar nakir. We all have to see the stages of the akhirat. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Anbiya Kiram, and this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came and he informed the people. The people who believed, they were able to save themselves from the punishment of the hereafter. Those people who did not accept, they were destroyed in this world and the hereafter. Likewise, we have to bring that yaqeen in our hearts. And so our elders, I'll end with this one last example. Our elders give a beautiful example, and they give us so many examples. Our elders, I've seen, they lie awake at night, crying, worrying that how can we get this message across to the ummah. Ummah soi pari hai. Namazon ke bawajud, rozon ke bawajud, umre ke bawajud, ummah soi pari hai. Despite our amals, despite our madrasas, despite our masjids and everything, ummah is like sleepwalking, oblivious to what is happening around us. Oblivious. I'm a school teacher, and other people who are school teachers, they can tell you some horror stories of what is happening to our children. And how people, just 2 days ago, one Maulvi Sahib was telling me, a kid in madrasa from a Naik family, he was asked that, what's your religion? So he said that, I'm just 9 years old. When I get a bit older, I'm going to research all the madrasa, all the religions, and I'll choose for myself. From a Naik family. So this is why our elders given us these examples, so that we somehow understand. So Molana Umar Palanpuri Sahib Rahmatullah used to give this beautiful example, and I want you to take this example home with you and to share it with your sisters, with your wives, with your mom. Don't just bottle it up. Go home, sit them down, talk to them about deen, because they don't get it. And so then we wonder when they drift away from deen. Anytime we hear anything in the masjid, go home and share it with them. This example, if we share it, we'll see it's an amazing example. And it puts everything into perspective. Molana used to say there was a lake. One day a fisherman decided to go fishing. So he got his tackle and everything and went out. Got into a car, drove to the lake, and then he sits there, puts his chair there, puts his newspaper, his butties and everything. Then he gets his line, he gets a hook, and then he opens the box and he takes out a fresh, juicy, live worm, and he sticks it onto the hook, and then he throws it out. So when it goes into the lake, a small fish, a young fish, inexperienced fish, sees, and he thinks that Eid has come early, takeaway has arrived. He just sees this massive, juicy worm wriggling around. So he starts darting towards the worm. So an older fish, an experienced fish, a Doha fish, a Molana fish intercepts him. Say, oh, beta, where are you going? Where are you going? He said, look, my takeaway has arrived. Christmas has come early. So he said, no, don't go there. I said, no, why? He said, there is death and destruction. I said, no, come on. What's what are you talking about? You guys never let us have fun. You Maulvis, you proper dry people, you never let us have fun. That's what people say. आजकल भी लोग यही कहते हैं. पहले तो जवान हमें कहते थे, आजकल तो बुढ़े लोग कहते हैं कि मौलवी साहब ऐसा क्या खुश्क बन गए, जिम में जाने में क्या वांदा है, खाला जाए तो हुच है. अल्लाह माफ करे. So he said, what are you stopping me for? This is my success. This is my meal, this is my feast. This is amazing for me. So I said, no. You're seeing that, I'm seeing something opposite. I'm seeing death and destruction for you. So what are you talking about? Mausab, kuch to aisi kehte jo samajh mein aati. Come on, Mausab, what are you talking about? He said, listen, behind this, you can just see the wriggly worm, the juicy worm, but behind this there's a reality. So Mausab, what reality? He said, behind this there's a hook. And if you go to bite into this worm, then the hook will become impregnated into your lip. And it'll hurt like crazy. And that hook is connected to a line. And that line transcends our dunya, the world that we live in. There's another world. There's another realm, which is billions of times bigger than the world that we're living in. And that line goes and connects to what you call a rod. And when you'll become impregnated, it'll hurt so much, you'll start pulling, tugging, trying to get free. When you start pulling, then that line will pull. And there's a person at the end of that rod, what you call a human being, who is thousands of times bigger than you. And he will know that he's got a catch. And he's got what you call 2 arms. And at the end of these 2 arms, he's got tentacles, he's got these 10 fingers. And he will pull you out from this world. And he will grab you with his 10 fingers. And he will pull you and he'll rip your mouth. And then he'll throw you into a box. And then he'll load you into his car. And then he'll take you home. And then he'll throw you onto a chopping board. And then he'll get his knives, what you call a knife, sharp thing. And then he'll go cut. And he'll cut you into pieces. And then he'll get what you call a kadai. And in that he'll put what you call tail. And underneath it he'll burn this fire. And then when the fire gets hot, in the meantime, he'll get some masala. He'll mix all this masala together. And he'll get some peri masala. And he'll roll your pieces around in that. And then when the oil starts going chun and spitting, then he'll throw you in there. And he will fry you. And you'll be dead, more than dead then. And then you'll have suffered an excruciating death. And then there's not one human being in that world. There's billions of them. But this guy, he's got 9 special friends. He'll call them over. So then when the friends come round, he'll serve you to them. And then between 100 fingers and 322 teeth, they'll pick you up and they'll chew you and they'll spit out your bones. And then your remnants, what's ever left of you, will be thrown into the back street. And these cats will come and claw away at you and eat you. And you will be no more. And the little fish was listening to the bayan very attentively. And then he said, Mali Sahab, you stop taking your pills, Mali Sahab. Koi to aisi kehte hai jo samajh mein aati hai. Mali Sahab, come on. There's exaggeration and there's exaggeration. Come on. Should have said something that I understood. This is just next level. Mali Sahab says, tu man ya na man. Whether you believe or not, it's the truth. And I care for you. Inni lakum nasihun ameen. I want to save you. That's why I'm telling you. So the fish, he sees the passion of the Molly Sahib fish. I shouldn't really say Molly Sahib fish. No disrespect to the ulama. To the elder fish. He sees the passion and he wants to believe as well. So he said, Molly Sahib, let me do research. Because it's a fish from the 21st century, isn't it? Why? Got to have evidence for everything. Let me do research. All the fish goes, go on then. Do all the research you want, but it's not going to avail you. So the fish, the small fish then goes and he swims the length and the breadth of the lake, goes right down to the bottom, comes right up to the top, comes back to the older fish and says, Mai Sahab, I puri dunya chan mari. Surveyed the whole of our world. You're talking about 322 teeth. I didn't even find one. You talked about 100 fingers. I didn't even find one. You're talking about a kadai and some fire and a rod and all this and a knife. I didn't find anything. Kuch to aisi kehte hai jo samajh mein aati hai. So Mali Sahib will again say, tu man ya na man. It's a reality. So now the little fish says, okay, show me. So what will he say? He said, if I show you, it's too late. The Anbiya Kiram came and they explained to the people. The people said, show us. Fatina bima ta'iduna in kunta mina sadiqeen. Show us. Anbiya Kiram said, no, believe without seeing. Worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. जैसी करनी वैसी भरनी न माने तो मर करके देख और जन्नत भी है दोजक भी है न माने तो मर के देख. As you sow, so shall you reap. If you don't believe, do it and find out for yourself. There is a heaven, there is a hell. If you don't believe, you'll find out when you die. And so our effort needs to be that we believe in all these things without seeing it. And that small fish doesn't believe, so he goes for it. And as soon as it bites into that wriggly worm, the fun and games is over. Then everything that the older fish said the hook, the line, the rod, the man, the 10 fingers, the car, the chopping board, the knife, the karai, the tail, the fire, the eating, the chewing, the spitting out, the cuts, everything it sees, but then it's too late. Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, Qarun, Pharaoh, Haman, Shaddad have seen, but it's too late for them now. We have an opportunity right now in the dunya to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by believing in all these things without seeing them. And our effort needs to be to make other people aware. Tell people that you're not praying your namaz, what's going to happen to you in the akhirat? In one riwayat it says, a person who is particular about their salat, when they will be placed in the grave, the ambience in the grave for all of us, when we will be woken up made to sit up by the angels, it will be like it is just before Maghrib namaz. Not quite dark, not quite light as well. Just getting dark. So in one riwayat it says that a person who was paband of namaz all his life or all her life, when Munkar Nakir will come to that person and sit them up and ask, Man Rabbuk, the person will look up and they'll see the ambience and they will say to the angels, hang on. I've not prayed my Asr namaz, let me pray my Asr namaz. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, the angels will turn to each other and say, there's your answer. Jawab mil gaya. We know that this person is successful. A person who's died, come 6 foot under, has still not forgotten their namaz. What can we question them? But how will that happen? When we will be steadfast on our deen, not hit and miss, not as we choose, but regular with our deens, regularly striving in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we will be able to stay steadfast on our deen. Then we will be able to pray our 5 times namaz, pray our Quran every day, pray our durood and zikr every day, go to our ulama, benefit from our ulama, from our elders, and come to the house of Allah. We will be able to do that if we are making an effort on our iman every day. This is why we are told to go out in the path of Allah. The Christmas holidays are coming up. We should not be thinking of, oh yeah, I'll give 2 days, 3 days. No, we're men. Or we're supposed to be men. 10 days in the path of Allah. This country, alhamdulillah, has seen for the past 40, 50 years, it's got a beautiful history in this country. Youngsters go out in the path of Allah, spend good 10 days. After that, they automatically go for weekend jamaz. January, February, March, April, May, June. Come July, automatically they come with their bedding for 40 days. Nobody has to kill them. And when they spend 40 days, they come back and then they are spending their 3 days. Automatically, a few years later, when they finish their studies, they go for 4 months. And they come up on deen. And not just traditional deen, not just customary deen, but actual deen in their lives you can see. So we need to bring that deen in our lives. We need to stop messing around with our deen, with our tabligh, with our madrasas, with our ulama kiram. Laughable, not laughable. Makes you cry. I went to one masjid recently. Our Jamaat was there. A Molana came and he said on there something like 56 Sirat Dars. 56 Sirat Dars. And massive locality. There were 8 people sitting in that Hadith Dars. 8 people. And all of them were in the Jamaat. Not a single local was sitting there. I felt so bad for Molana. Not only did I feel bad, but I also felt scared for us. Hum ulama ki aisi tauhin kare? How long, ask the ulama kiram, how long does it take to prepare a 15-minute dars? Maulana sahab, Juma ka bayan kar lena, masjid Juma ka bayan kar lena. Koi aasan kaam hai? Chalte chalte kya, bas chalo tamam aaj ai week thai jaye. Koi aasan kaam hai? It's so difficult to prepare a dars. And this dars, Maulana sahab delivered the dars for over an hour. And I spoke to him afterwards. He said, yeah, I've been doing it, alhamdulillah. This was the 56th one. And no one, not a single local was sitting there. In namaz, there were about 4 safs. And it wasn't as if it was a boring. If it was boring, even then it's not excusable. If it was a boring talk, there's no such thing as a deeni boring talk. If it's boring, it means you're boring. Like I started at the beginning. It means that you are not plugged in. Your heart is not in it. Isn't it? So even if it was boring in inverted commas, that still doesn't excuse us not sitting. क्या हो गया मुसलमान इतने सारे मुसलमान और लोग क्या कहते हैं माए बहनें घर पे सुनती है मैं जानता हूँ कितना सुनती है हम जानते हैं उलमा किराम से पूछो कितना सुनती है इल्ला माशाल्लाह वो बेचारी जो खाला बहुत ही आथकी हो वो सुनती है लेकिन वो एक हाथ में पंसूरा है और नींद के झोंके भी है, और सुभान अल्लाह कहती है, सुनती है. इल्ला माशाअल्लाह. वे में कि ना गिलाए जफाए वफा नुमा, क्या हरम को अहले हरम से है, किसी बुत कदे में बयां करो तो कहे सनम भी हरी हरी. The treachery of the Muslims towards Deen and Islam. Allama Iqbal Rahmatullah said, if I went into a temple and I expressed it, if I related it to the idols, the lifeless idols would even cry out in desperation. The Muslims doing this with their Deen. Look at our masjid, such a beautiful masjid. And yet even 1% of our community does not come here. It's a reality. So we need to stop messing around with tabligh, with madrasas, with our ulama, with our Deen. And we need to man up and step up. There shouldn't be any 3 days, 2 days, 10 days, all of us. Go out in the path of Allah. So brothers, make your intentions. Come on. 10 days, who's ready? I'll put my name down first. 10 days, inshallah. Come, brothers. Come, brothers, quickly. The dar chawal is getting cold as well. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Allah qabul farmaya, Allah asan farmaya. MashaAllah. MashaAllah, Allah Ta'ala accept all the brothers making intentions. Other brothers who came with 3 days intentions, come on, man. So many youngsters we used to go in Jama'at with, now I meet them sometimes and say, oh, Masa, we used to go Jama'at. I said, yeah, Jama'ats do still go, you know. Yeah, I said, why don't you go? Masa, I'm working now, innit? Ah, MashaAllah, I'm a badda nawala se, unemployed, good for nothing, us guys. Sometimes they say, Masa, I'm married now. I say, okay, we got Laylas as well at home. We got Juliets as well. Doesn't mean we hold our hand and sit with her all day and night. Come on, lad. That's what Qurbani is. Sometimes they say, I got kids. So what? Sahaba Kiram had wives and children and business and occupation and responsibilities. They still went out in the path of Allah. In this day and age, there are people. Just recently I met a Jamaat, 4 months. As soon as the lockdown finished, they came out 4 months. Taxi drivers, workers, all of them, all got families, young families, and they came out for 4 months, spent time locally. आपका भी इनके साथ चिल्ला लगा, कितनी प्यारी जमात थी, जबरदस्त. So people are making sacrifices. So come, brothers. Mashallah. If you can't give 10 days, okay, I won't name and shame you, but come on. Give some, but don't nobody say 1 day. Then you get shamed. Whatever we can give, brothers. Come on. MashaAllah. Allah accept. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Allah accept. MashaAllah. Allah qabul farmaya. Allah Ta'ala make it easy. No brother should be left. Every single brother saying here should be giving their intentions. Sometimes, you know, when we go home after a bayan, the women, they tell us off. You yeah, the women say that if we were in the masjid, we'd all stand up instantly, give our intentions. The women have got that in them. Us guys, we shame ourselves up. MashaAllah. 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 How long are you ready for? MashaAllah. How old are you? How old are you? Huh? Who are you going to go with? MashaAllah. Oh, MashaAllah. Did the father tashkil the son, or did the son tashkil the father? That is a question. Huh? MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Allah accept. Come, brothers. Otherwise, life is passing by. What have we done? 1 whole year passed. We were sitting in our homes. We heard stories. I got a message during the lockdown that one youngster, he became Hafiz al-Quran in 4 months or something. The Allah ka karna, I went, I didn't meet him, but I met his father. He told me, he said, yeah, he was in lockdown, he was spending like 6-7 hours in his bedroom. You're learning it, coming down, praying sabak to me. I don't think it was even 4 months. Muhammad Khalil. How long? MashaAllah, Allah accept. So people utilize their lockdown like that. But so many people wasted their time, nothing to do, and even then, we're not, no responsibilities even then. Time wasted. So life is passing us by, brothers. Don't let these opportunities escape us. Right now, Allah Ta'ala has given us an opportunity. So no one should be left behind. Everyone make intention, inshallah. 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, 2 days, whatever we can give. But go out and see for ourselves the benefit. Recently from one brother I heard a very good example. He said, a person who's stupid, he goes to Blackpool beach. So he's driving by. So he sees sand and he sees the sea. So he's stupid. So he just thinks it's a pile of sand. Then there's another person. He's intelligent. He sees it. He thinks it's a beach and there's a sea. Third person, he gets off from the car. He goes onto the beach. So he finds some pebbles. Next person, they go a bit further out. So they find these really nice shells. Another person goes further out, goes into the sea and dives deep, and he finds pearls and treasures. The same is with tabligh. People looking from far, some people just say, oh, it's useless. Nauzubillah. Some people, they come close and say, oh yeah, it's some effort. Some people come into it, spend 2 days, 3 days, they get the pebbles, they get the shells, they get a bit of benefit. But the people who really dive into it, Allah Ta'ala gives them the pearls of His deen. Then they have. One person I met recently, he said, Mashallah, the joy, Allah ke samne rone ka maza, maine pa liya. I said, make dua for me, brother. I discovered as well. He said, I found the pleasure of crying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One brother went out in the path of Allah. He said, Masa, I was a drug dealer, I was far gone. He said, Masa, now when I lift my hands up for dua, I don't feel like putting my hands down. Hours go by. One brother, he says that when I put my head down in Sizdah, I pray to Allah, Allah takes me in this position. I found a pleasure. Why? Because they went deep and they found the pearls. So we're all tablighis here. Everyone knows tabligh. But some of us are just onlookers looking from far, saying, some people might be looking from very far and thinking, oh, it's useless, nauzubillah. Some people are in and out, they're just getting some shells and some bit of benefit, meaning the sawab, and a bit of benefit, bit of hadith and this and that. But to get the true benefits, we will have to go deeper and make the sacrifice. And then we will see the benefits for ourselves, for our wives and children and families also. So come brothers, last minute of tashkil, brothers, give your intentions. Some of you brothers have not given your names. I know your names, so I might have to name and shame you. Jay brothers, stand up and give your name before I give your name. Chalo bhai.
Come brothers, keep our intentions, mashallah. Beloved Molana has been a very wonderful talk. Our emotions, so we take advantage of that and make the intention for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
MashaAllah, Allah accept. Come on, brothers. MashaAllah. No one should be left. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Allah Ta'ala accept. Allah Ta'ala make it easy. What about your neighbor? MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Allah accept. Allah Ta'ala make it easy for everyone. And like I said, we will see. If we spend these 10 days correctly in the Christmas holidays, spend our time well, automatically we will keep on going. And then so many ulama have been created in this way. The Christmas holidays was a turning point in their life. They spent 3 days, 40 days. They turned around and made mashwara, I want to become alim, went off. MashaAllah, became high caliber ulama kiram. So this is an effort of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Come brothers. MashaAllah. 5 days, MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Brothers are giving the names, but they're quite shy, huh? Sharmile log hai. Come, brothers. MashaAllah. This brother. Abu Bakr. Come on, Abu Bakr. What's your intention? 5 days, MashaAllah. With your dad? MashaAllah. Allah accept you. Allah Ta'ala make you alim ba'amal fadil badal. Allah Ta'ala accept your whole life for the service of His deen. And your brother also, your whole family. MashaAllah. हम मदरसे में बच्चों को क्या कहते हैं? गधा कहीं का, है ना, नालायक. तो एक मौलाना ने बहुत अच्छी बात कही. तो मुझे जब गुस्सा आता ना, मैं बच्चों को मौलाना कहता हूँ. मौली साहब ऐसी क्या बात की? मौली साहब. तो कोई कबूलियत की घड़ी होगी, अल्लाह ताला उसको कबूल कर लेंगे, वरना गधा के गधा ही रहेगा. अल्लाह ताला सबको कबूल फरमाए माशाअल्लाह.
Last few moments just to give intention. In intention, we'll get a reward for that as well, which is, is worth its weight in gold in reality when the eyes of this world will close. Just one little bit of sacrifice, a little bit of effort.
Forgive me for saying this. Some brothers were very vocal, had a lot to say in the bayan. Very quiet now. So come on, brothers, give your intentions.
3 days.
Allah accept, mashallah. हाँ, दुआ के बाद सब mashallah. Allah qabul फरमाए. All these brothers making intention, no mobile phone, huh? I think leaving the mobile phone will be harder than leaving the wife for some people. Yeah. And that's not just for the path of Allah. People going for Umrah. I said to them, mashallah, you've done so many Umrahs. Don't take your mobile. He looked at me like I was sworn at his mom or something. I said, how am I going to find my way around? I said, come on, man. Don't be so stupid. I said, sab ho jayega. Don't take your phone. So some people were brave enough to follow the advice. They came back, they said, they're crying. They said, my 9 Umrahs on one side and this Umrah. I said, MashaAllah. Kya maza aaya. I said, बातिल वाले इतने होशियार निकले कि हमें लगा दिया इन चीज़ों में. उन चीज़ों में अब उम्मत फॉरवर्ड वाली उम्मत बन गई है. और फॉरवर्ड भी ऐसी ऐसी चीज़ों को फॉरवर्ड करते हैं. मैं कहता हूँ कि भाई हमने अंगूठा छाप तो सुना था, अब तो अंगूठा पाप भी देखे हमने. अंगूठा से ऐसे ऐसे वीडियो फॉरवर्ड करते हैं. ला हौला वला कुव्वत इल्ला. खुद भी गुनहगार हुए, हमें भी गुनहगार किया. ये उम्मत इसमें रह गई. तो मोबाइल फ़ोन बहुत बड़ा फितना है. So make intention, inshallah, we go out in the path, take your mobile phones, leave them at home, spend good time, inshallah. Allah Ta'ala give me and all of us stuff. Anyone left? 30 seconds. Aqil. Come on, Muhammad. Tashkil, dua ke baad. Come on. How many? 3 days, mashallah. He's getting old, he's got a problem with his legs, can't stand up. Allah Ta'ala accept all your intentions. Allah Ta'ala keep your masjid abad, keep your community abad. Accept all the brothers and sisters who have listened, mashallah, so attentively. Forgive me if I offended anyone. मैं तो ज़रा ऐसा ही हूँ, मेरा बोलना ऐसा ही है. If I offended anyone, please forgive me and make dua for me also and my family also. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم اهد أهل هذه القرية. اللهم اهد أهل هذه الحارة. اللهم اهد أهل هذا البلد. اللهم اهد أهل هذه الدولة. اللهم اهد هذه الحكومة. اللهم اهد الناس والجان جميعا. اللهم أحيي الدين كله في العالم كله إلى يوم القيامة واستعملنا لهذا. اللهم استعملنا ولا تستبدلنا. اللهم انصر إخواننا المسلمين في كل مكان. لقد اشتد بهم البلاء ونحن لا نملك غير الدعاء. فالضعف أصابنا ولم نقدر على شيء وأنت القادر على نصرتهم فانصرهم يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين ويا ذا القوة المتين ويا راحم المساكين. اللهم اهدنا واهد بنا واجعلنا سببا لمن اهتدى. واشف مرضانا واشف مرضى المسلمين واغفر موتانا وموتى المسلمين. اللهم ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. آمين 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 برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Jazakumullah. Brothers are requested to proceed for food. But all the brothers who gain intentions